Today I effed up by slapping a stranger's ass. No, this is not your common TIFU of mistaken identify. My girlfriend thought this was hilarious, so I thought I'd share. This happened last night. So I 30 meters flew home over the weekend to see some family. We have all had COVID recently, so not too worried. I've been working from home for the last few months, so I put on a few pounds and I had to get a new belt before the trip. Anyways, last night I was running late for my flight home and I'm doing the mad dash through the airport. I get to security and start doing that whole song and dance. Taking the shoes off, jacket, laptop out of my bag. Then I remembered I have my new belt on. I undo the buckle and try to pull it all the way out of the loops. Doesn't budge. It's too stiff and new. So I assisted out of the first few loops. Then I give it a tug again. Nothing, still stuck. All the while, of course, the TSA agent is waiting on me, along with a huge line of people behind me anxiously waiting for their own striptease act. Irritated, I give the belt one more hard tug, and it whips out of my pants and slaps the man's ass in front of me. You know how the lion tamers will pop their whip for show? Or the boys on the locker room will pop each other with their towels? I just did this to a man with some gusto. I might add that I do not know. He was actually a pilot in his uniform. He whips his head around to look at me with shock. TSA agent is cackling. I'm standing there with my mouth open, stunned. I apologized profusely and he was understanding. Then we stood awkwardly next to each other for probably another long 10 minutes. Anyways, I think we were both grateful to get out of that line. TLDR, I pulled my belt out of my pants with gusto, which resulted in me slapping another man's ass with it. Undefined. I got ass slapped a few days ago while topping off my soda at a fast food place. As it happened, I heard Dad. I have no kids. I turned around and saw the true look of horror on some 5-year-old's face, and he almost started to cry and ran away. His dad was 10 feet away, ordering, while wearing the same shade of jeans and also a gray hoodie. He apologized to me while laughing, and I was laughing too. One time around 5 years old, I thought my mom was behind me on the line at McDonald's, so I turned around and hugged a complete stranger around the knees and said, "I love you, mommy." To this day I lose sleep over that. When I was in middle school, I'd always jump up and lightly smack my grandpa's bald head and yell, "Baldy." We were at the mall and walking around in the food court. Me and my grandma were ordering food. We went to sit down and I saw the back of my grandpa by the garbage can. I jump up and smack his bald head and exclaim, "Baldy." An old man with the same color shirt turned around very slowly with the angriest look I had ever seen. I ran away to the women's bathroom just as my grandpa was walking out of the men's. Imagine how that man must have felt. He probably thought some mean brat ran up to him and just absolutely roasted him for no reason. Probably thinking something along the lines of, and in a very old and cranky manner, "God damn it, they really need to keep those animals' children on leashes." I used to know a really cranky next door neighbor and this reminds me of them. And you didn't even buy him a drink first. I wish I wouldn't have been too shocked at the situation to have thought of this line instead of an apology, lol. But did you buy him a drink, or smoke a cig, afterwards? Nah, that wouldn't fly. Does if they fly for Delta? All my homies hate Delta. Keep it positive, keep it positive. I don't think gusto is used enough. Ha, glad you appreciated it. I agree. Me gusta gusto. He didn't even get a safe word. Remember, safe, sane, consensual. The safe word is harder. Happy for you that the pilot was good-natured about the ass popping. He could have dropped it like it was hot. Who cares about that? He's lucky the TSA agent used this as an excuse to peep up his flight plans. Step stranger, what are you doing? I weirdly found this hilarious. Me too, LMFAO, I'm rolling. You should have bought him dinner. Pilots don't wait in the public TSA line, and certainly not in line for 10 minutes even if they did. This is a true statement. Buy the man a drink before pleasure time. It's the proper thing to do, lol. You're lucky because it wasn't a woman instead of the man. As a woman, I would have one of two reactions. 1. If it actually hurt, I would not be happy as I held my ass and avoided eye contact with the person. But I wouldn't be making a scene. 2. If it didn't really hurt, I would make the situation so much worse by teasing the obviously embarrassed person. You gonna buy me a drink? Anything to lighten the mood. But I see no reason for anyone to be reacting as if it were done on purpose, because it was obviously an accident. I like your style. Lol, I'd be so embarrassed I'd offer to brew you a keg and then slink away in self-loathing. When a problem comes along, you must whip it. Now whip it. Into shape. Shape it up. Get straight. Go forward. Move ahead. Try to detect it. It's not too late to whip it. Whip it good. Just say your safe word is swordfish and lift the belt again. Would have been better if he was your pilot. Read the title and thought, don't we have enough of these? But yours is very unique, haha. My mom saw her friend loading groceries in the trunk of her car in a parking lot. Snuck up on her and pinched her butt. Wasn't her friend. Should have looked him right in the eye and said, don't kink shame me, daddy. Yeah, no, your GF is right, hat was hilarious. Plot twist. He was the pilot for your flight. Great FU. Definitely a glorious one you'll always look back on with a smile. Also, I know this is a small thing, but thank you for not using the word obligatory in your post. That's a man that doesn't mind a spanking. I was just testing the belt's firmness. And that's how I smuggled a kilo of narcotics tape to my crotch out of the country. We have all had COVID recently, so not too worried. Yeah, that's all I saw reading this. This did not go the way I thought it was going to end. Nice. To some people, a slap on the ass still means good job. With a belt. Nice. All I have is the pilot scene from Airplane stuck in my head now. Is your name Timmy? Thwack. Ooh, baby. I have an ass slap story. About 6 years ago, my wife and I went to my coworker's house for a party. He was super smart but lacked any social skills whatsoever. We get out of his car and are getting pumped up for a good time. He says something along the lines of "let's do this," and then slaps my wife's ass. Everybody froze. My wife is staring at me terrified both about what happened and what she thinks I'm gonna do. My jaw is on the floor. He immediately saw the insanely stupid thing he did and turned white as a ghost, stammered a ton and proceeds to awkwardly slap my ass because honestly, how the f*** else do you recover from something like that? To this day my wife and I still laugh about it. Before anyone rages. No, he wasn't hitting on my wife. Yes, I'm sure. It was more along the lines of how football players will slap each other's asses. Not that that isn't weird. I knew the guy. We almost died in a car crash when I was helping him move. He was just really that awkward and had poor control of his stupid ideas. We don't talk to him anymore for reasons completely unrelated. This reminds me of something my dad almost did. A million years ago. When COVID wasn't a thing and everything was normal, by which I mean 2019. We went shopping. My mom was buying groceries in the grocery store and my dad was searching for something at the hardware store, which was a separate building. After my dad was finished, we went to the grocery store to look for my mom. One thing you should know is that my dad loves to tease her by slapping her ass. Well, my dad saw my mom crouching down to pick up something, and he was about to slap her butt. However, that wasn't my mom. It was another woman. I quickly noticed and I stopped my dad just in time before a very embarrassing situation happened, as well as saving his face from a slap. I told this to my mom when we found her, and she scolded him. How awkward would it have been if he was the pilot flying your plane? Aw, thanks for my first award ever. Follow it up with a wink and a smile before walking and high-fiving the rest of the crew. Might as well add my story. One of our roommates' car broke down and we had a number of friends and family around to hang out and help fix it. I was married at the time and my husband's parents and brothers were some of the people over. So our one friend had the hood open and was working on the engine when my husband's mom comes over and smacks him in the ass. Everyone stared in shock and asked why she did that. She just said because it was there. That's when our friend stood up and told her, "I'm flattered but I'm already married." Her turning beet red. Apparently she thought he was one of my husband's brothers since they had the same build. We never let her live it down. Man, it's been a long time since someone slapped my ass. High school, 1994. I was riding my bike home from school and a buddy on the football team we both played drove past me. His sister, whom was admittedly hot AF, leaned out the passenger side window as they drove past and walloped my touches. Hard enough that I wiped out on my bike. She complained for a week how much her hand hurt, that I am concrete but served her ass right. I thought you mistook your GF or something. This was so much better of a feeped up. COVID was not 3 months ago. COVID is killing and doing irreparable harm to people right now. The CDC estimates that someone who has been infected with COVID and recovered has immunity for roughly 90 days. There are new strains of COVID that are far more contagious than other strains that have been in circulation. FFS the op is saying he had COVID 3 months ago. Not that COVID as a whole was 3 months ago. It's still a moot point. You can carry the virus well after you've recovered from symptoms. Or be re-exposed and carry the virus without even knowing it all because I'm immune. It's fine. This would be an awesome scene for a potential airplane remake lol. Apologize sincerely. Stay quiet and then slip in a weird statement like it was a total accident but you could bounce a quarter off that thing. You poke the Reddit mob. Whether you meant to or didn't even know you did it. You get bit. We have all had COVID recently, so not too worried. Not how it works on multiple levels. You're putting others at risk. That isn't your decision to worry about. Thank you, citizen. This gave me a good laugh. Prior to COVID, I was traveling for a national work meeting. I made the mistake of putting Epsom salts in a container as the normal bags are heavy. I use them for compresses on my one bad knee and if I'm constipated. Huge mistake. I was pulled aside and held up the entire line because they thought it was drugs. Mind you, to paint the picture, I am a younger small white blonde girl. Of course anyone can be a threat, but I'm probably the least threatening person you can imagine. I was so humiliated trying to explain and watching everyone watch me have my Epsom salts tested in plain sight. Like yeah, just want to soothe my leg and have a plan for my stress constipation. Lesson learned. I was in a touring performance group and we were boarding a plane. Female colleague was already seated and as she saw one of the guys putting his bag in overhead, she decided to give him a playful pop on the butt. Dude whips around and it's a complete stranger. The female crumbled from embarrassment while the rest of us just roared with laughter. Pours out slurm for a true earthican. I would have blushed and winked at you. A pilot? You could have saved it. Just a wooey. That was one smooth touchdown with that crosswind. Right down the middle. Good hustle. Needed this laugh. Thank you. Sounds like I know how you got COVID. Did he smile cause he liked it? Little did you know that you'd awaken something deep inside that pilot. His kinks will never be the same. Live your life. One ass slap at a time. Top 9. 8% and climbing. Free until March 1st, don't miss out. First thing that came to my mind was the Key and Peele slap ass skits. When I was 29 at my bachelor party, I accidentally got into a van full of old Asian women. It looked identical to the van we rented. All I remember is the look of horror they gave the bottle of water I was given to sober up. As in you didn't get off the bus immediately? Haha. What a visual. Thanks for the cackle. Did you ask if he was okay? You should have just looked him right in the face and said "Sadate." This story made me literally lol. Should have said that just happened sugar tits while flicking your tongue at him. One time at an EDM show I temporarily lost my fiancée. Was looking for her for like 5 minutes and finally found her. I was rolling tits ATM so I went up behind her, grabbed her waist and said I had been looking everywhere for her. The woman turned around and looked at me with this horrified/disgusted look on her face, and just backed away from me before I could explain the situation. I felt so bad about doing that and even worse that I couldn't explain myself. Random girl, if you're reading this, please forgive me.